welcome. I know I'm maybe not the face you were expecting to see today. It's usually Hamish that does the wedding market updates, but Hamish is having a well-earned holiday and break with his family. So I'm taking over this month, which I'm really excited to do. Thank you for taking time out of your very busy peak summer wedding schedule, and we are going through Instagram marketing for wedding pros. So here are the things that we're going to be rattling through in the next half an hour. Part one is going to be around optimizing your Instagram profile. So we're going to go back to a few basics that you might have forgotten about and may need to revisit. We're also going to be improving your visibility to couples. So I'll give you some tips around this and things to bear in mind. Also going to be trying to convert followers into bookings and how you can utilize your Instagram space to do that, and also staying on top of trends. And there have been a lot of trends recently that have confused me, including very demure, very mindful, which you may or may not have heard of. And as a kind of middle-ish age millennial, I am struggling to keep up with all the trends. So I've got some tips for you on how you can utilize these to the best of your business's ability. And then, of course, as usual, we've got some industry shout outs at the end for some people that have been outstanding on Bridebook. So just as a little introduction about understanding the Instagram algorithm, I will caveat this. Sometimes there's no understanding it and things will outperform, over your wildest dreams, and other things will flop. And that's just sometimes the way it is. But there are three key areas to think about when trying to capitalize on the Instagram algorithm. So first up is engagement. So Instagram prioritizes those posts and reels and pieces of content that are getting likes, comments, shares, and saves. And I think we often focus on likes and comments quite a lot, but there's a lot of value in shares and saves as well. So it's something to bear in mind. The second area is relevance. So how likely your user is to interact with your content. So if you're producing content that, couples are unlikely to engage with and they're unlikely to actually find interesting, then that will be deprioritized by the Instagram algorithm. So it's all about posting quality content that will actually engage with your followers rather than posting for posting's sake, which I think we're all a bit guilty of sometimes, even us. And then timeliness. So newer posts do get more priority, but don't worry, you won't be running on this hamster wheel of I must always be posting. It's more about consistency than it is being the newest one on the feed, but newer posts do get more priority. So those are three areas to really bear in mind about the Instagram algorithm. Of course, if any of you have any questions throughout this webinar, do pop them in the Q&A and I will try and answer a few at the end if you've got 5 minutes to spare. So the first area is optimizing your Instagram profile. And we're going to go back to some real basics here, but we're not basic. So these are things to bear in mind when you're setting up your Instagram profile, and you might want to go back and just check that you are doing these things. So super, super basic. Choose a recognizable profile picture. This is like teaching you to suck eggs probably, but I just want to reiterate that using your logo or professional image across all of your social medias really helps to boost that brand image. And making sure that it's consistent across platforms, and you want it to be recognizable even when it's really, really small. So I've just got three here that I really like: Head to House, Ferry Hill by Old Walls, and Heaton House Farm. And they're all really recognizable. As soon as I go on Instagram, I know who they are. So that's something really basic. The next thing is crafting a compelling bio. And I think that a lot of us tend to put the latest awards that we've received or things like that in our bio, but really your bio is actually a really good way for you to get discovered on Instagram. And Instagram does actually pick out those key search words. If you search for venues in London on Instagram, it will likely pick out those words from your bio and present you to the searcher. So you want to describe who you are and what you do as briefly as you can. You want to include some keywords like private venue in London, or I've got some examples on the next page. I can't think of any off the top of my head, which is why I came equipped. You want to add a call to action. So we're going to delve into that a bit later of how you can utilize your link in bio. Incorporate a few emojis sparingly to show your personality and break up that text a little bit. And then also think about what makes you special. What is your unique differentiator from other venues and other suppliers? So here are just some examples from venues that I picked out that I really liked. Hedza is at the top. I promise Hamish didn't pay me to do that, but Hedza Hell's at the top. Tatler and Vogue's Dream Wedding, Exceptional Experiences, Treasured Memories, and then A Country House, a Stone's Throw from London. So already we know that it's an award-winning, it's a country house type of venue, and it's really close to London if that's what we're after. Gaynes Park Wedding Venue, exclusive use barn, orangery and outdoor wedding venue, beautifully walled gardens, iconic backdrop. So already as a couple, I know what the key differentiators are, what I'm going to get, beautiful outdoor spaces. And then obviously all of these have got one thing in common, especially, which is their call to actions. And I really like that Gaynes Park here has put learn more rather than just a link. So they're really guiding the user towards understanding more about their venue. So yeah, there's a few different kind of things to bear in mind with your Instagram bio, and these really are the basics. You also want to make your profile beautiful but useful. So there's a few ways that you can do this. Obviously, a lot of us use highlights and branded highlights, but I think there's a tendency to just add whatever we can to our highlights without actually thinking about the way we section those out. So if there are particular questions that couples ask you a lot, like your FAQs that you have on your website, why not showcase those on your branded highlights and make sure that everything that a couple could be looking for is actually being addressed on the highlights. I come on to what couples are kind of looking for a little later, but you can showcase real weddings here, you can showcase awards, you can showcase seasonal images, which is really important when you know that you've got couples looking for summer 2025. That might be your most popular, or even if you want to push some of your least popular times of the year, you can also do that with your highlights. Use eye-catching covers that are going to make sure that people click on them. Stick to a visual theme as well. This is another way to really bolster your brand. And I've got some examples on the next page as well of highlights that I really liked. And then also capture real wedding footage, which should be fairly straightforward to do. I know we're running around like headless chickens on wedding day, but being able to capture that footage when you can, or asking your couples for it, is really important for you to be able to include in your highlights. So again, making it beautiful but definitely useful. So here's just some examples of highlights that I liked. 3 different styles. There's the Manor by the Lake, which is in Cheltenham, which is where I live, and they've got a really nice kind of brand image there, where the images kind of relate loosely to what's below it, but it really looks beautiful on their Instagram. And they've obviously sectioned off offers Christmas. They're probably a multifunctional wedding venue that does events, like corporate events as well, blog, weddings, business events. So you can really use it to section off different parts of your business. If you are actually just focused on weddings, you can obviously go delve a bit deeper into that. Really think about what it is that you want to push to couples, and eventually what's going to get them through the door of speaking to you and contacting you. Part 2 is improve your visibility to couples. We're going to recap the Instagram algorithm. So we've got engagement, relevance, and timeliness. So we're going to delve into this a little bit further now of what that actually means and what we can do to make sure that we do capitalize on that algorithm. Engagement is all about how much your audience interacts with your content through likes, comments, shares, and saves. So how do we encourage this with our content? Engagement is all about how much your audience interacts with your content through likes, comments. So you want to be posting the majority reels. This is really what Instagram is favoring at the moment. And I know that we bang on about reels all the time, but they truly are such a great source of reach. You want to prioritize short form videos. So you want to get the best part of the video near at the beginning, not too much build up in the video, kind of get to the point quite quickly. And that's why short reels with short audios are really good for this. It's also great to use trending sounds and effects. So there's a lot of trending sounds that come in and out of fashion. And I'm going to be going into this a little bit later of how you can actually keep on top of what those trending sounds are. Aside from speaking to your Gen Z colleagues, which is what I do, they keep me up to date in my old age. Then consistent posting. So previously, Hamish has talked a lot about Buffer and other scheduling tools where you can kind of create your posts in bulk and then schedule them so that you can have maybe 2 days every 2 weeks where you head down, get that content created and scheduled, and then you can ensure consistency. And Instagram actually recommends that you post 3 to 5 times a week, which sounds like a lot. For the wedding industry, you don't have to actually post that much. It's more about quality, perhaps 3 times a week, and a really like good quality reel. And then create save worthy content. So this is all about inspiration. Couples want inspiration. They want to see beautiful things on their feed when they're, looking to wedding plan. Beautiful or interesting, much like the mozzarella ball cake that you'll see in this reel here. This is one of my favorites. I want it at my wedding if I ever get married. So things that are unusual, share worthy, save worthy, inspiration for couples. This will encourage couples to send it to their friends, to save it, to comment, to like. And those are all the types of engagement and interactions that will push your reels and your posts further and further up the search. Fingers crossed, one day perhaps go viral. So the next area is relevance. Relevance ensures that your content resonates with your target audience, making it more likely for them to engage. It's really a learning curve to know what resonates with your audience, but there are ways that you can look at this. There's analytics on Instagram where you can go and see, and I'll go into this later, but you can go and see what your followers are actually interacting with, what kind of reels are resonating with them. And you can obviously capitalize on those types of reels and trends and try and boost your visibility. You want to share value-driven content and inspiration. So it may be that there's 5 top tips around wedding planning. There's 5 new trends. We share a lot of this kind of content on Bridebook, so keep an eye out on us. Leverage hashtags and geotags. So hashtags are, I think, becoming less and less important now that we have the explore page and we have trending audios. And so make sure you're looking at which hashtags have a lot of followers and which hashtags have a lot of views. This can really help with getting more eyes on your posts. Featuring client testimonials can also be a really good way of being relevant to your target audience. So, hearing from other couples, other real weddings, seeing other real weddings is really important for couples that are trying to discover more about you on Instagram. And then staying on brand. It is difficult with all of the trends to know which ones are actually on brand for you. And some of them won't be appropriate, and that's fine, you use your discretion. But some of them you can use quite creatively to actually in keep with your brand still, but have a little bit of humor and a bit of fun with your couples. And then the final area is timeliness. So this refers to posting content when your audience is most active and aligning your posts with current trends or seasonal events. So you can have a look on your Instagram analytics. If you're a business account, which most of you hopefully should be, a lot of the stuff I'm talking about relates to being a business account. You can post when your audience is most active. So I would look at times rather than days of the week. Ours is very equal, the days of the week, but if you look at times, most people are on after 6 p.m. out of our audience set. So definitely have a look at when's best to actually post and try and capitalize on that. Seasonal and event-based content. So, if you've got a showcase coming up, if you are wanting to talk about summertime weddings, anything that's appropriate to the season and that's timely and relevant will also do quite well. You also want to capitalize on Instagram/world trends. And what I mean by this is there something that swept the world by storm that you can capitalize? At the moment, Oasis are reforming. I've seen a few funny reels around that, even from wedding businesses. However you incorporate that is up to you. Get creative, but jumping on trends and pop culture, I suppose, which has always been done, is really important to get your content seen on Instagram. And then also follow Instagram on Instagram. I know that sounds ridiculous, but they have so many product launches, feature launches, and new things that you can utilize. I'd really recommend following them, because the earlier you adopt some of their newer stuff, the higher the algorithm will rank you. So they love an early adopter of things like notes you can do now. When you go onto messages, you can leave a little note for your followers. Please do go on there and kind of look into all those tools that you can use. This may sound overwhelming. You don't have to use them all. Maybe pick 1 or 2 new ones that you want to start utilizing and see how you get on with them. But the algorithm really does favor it. So keep an eye on what Instagram are up to. Plan for upcoming events. So obviously, if you've got events coming up, also if there's something that gets a lot of traction, usually like International Women's Day, obviously it's a great thing to celebrate anyway, but it can also help your reach too. And then real-time updates. Sometimes it's amazing to do a live, for example. And I know that they say never work with children or animals or do anything live like I'm doing right now. There's no animals in this room, but I'm live. It's great to do real-time updates of weddings, maybe the setup, maybe the behind the scenes, if you get a moment. I know that's the last thing you probably want to do on wedding day, but it is a brilliant thing as well to get people that are on the app at that moment in time engaging with you. I'll move on to part 3 now, which is converting followers into bookings. So this is really all around those couples that have maybe discovered you on Bridebook or discovered you through Google Ads, something like that, and they've gone onto Instagram just to see your gallery of stuff, what your personality's like, what you specialize in, whatever that looks like. This is how you can convert followers into bookings. So I know it's a bit old hat to talk about link in bio, and a lot of content influencers out there say that the link in bio is dead, but I don't believe that for a second. If people want to get in contact with you, they're going to be looking for a way. And if you are utilizing your link in bio properly, then they will be able to get in contact with you. So there are kind of 3 main things to bear in mind with your link in bio. And this is very much when you're using a link aggregator, which basically means something like Linktree, where you click on the link in bio and you've got multiple links there, or maybe a landing page that's specific and it isn't even Linktree. But these are the main things to bear in mind. Prioritize key actions. I've done a little audit on quite a few suppliers and venues recently, and sometimes there's around 11 links when you go onto this Linktree. And I think as a couple, I'd be a little bit not overwhelmed, but I wouldn't know what is the priority for me to click on. And although I might be interested in a few things, I think the less choice, the better. Keep it simple for the audience. Perhaps just have 3 to 4 links on there with really strong call to actions, so that you can make sure that you're, I suppose, moving that couple down their decision-making process into booking a show round, or into sending you an inquiry, but preferably booking a show round. And update it regularly. You might have an event on there that might be from earlier this year that you've forgotten about, and that's totally normal. Just make sure that you pop a little calendar invite to yourself to update it regularly, and make sure that you've got your upcoming event on there. I think skim it down. If you've got like 10 links, maybe have a look and think, what's actually relevant? What are couples really needing to know? Perhaps it's FAQs, perhaps it's book a show round, or perhaps it's contact us. It might be as simple as that. Or gallery. That's 4 I've mentioned max. Here's just a little bit more of a deep dive into those 3 areas. So prioritizing key actions, book a show round, make an inquiry, virtual tours or showcase dates, getting their feet through the door. Special offers or promotions is another great one. If you have dates that you are struggling to fill, or if you have a promotion that you just like to do as a nice to have, maybe free champagne reception for the wedding party, or whatever that looks like, definitely mention those and push those when you need to. Update it regularly, so align it with your current campaigns. If you are running a campaign on filling your summer weddings, then add your summer gallery to your Linktree. It's an extension of your channels, really. So the less you can update it, the better. But if you're smart with it and it aligns with your campaigns, then it will be really relevant for what couples are looking for. And then feature event specific links, which I've already kind of mentioned, but if you want people to sign up for events. And then drive traffic with strong CTAs. So highlight your seasonal packages, have clear CTAs in your posts. So obviously you can say our FAQs can be found in our bio, or if you want to book a show round, you can do that in our bio. In stories, you can add direct links. So you don't need to worry so much about link in bio for stories, but for reels and for posts, link in bio is usually the kind of main call to action. And this is all organic Instagram, right, that I'm talking about, not paid. We're trying to get you the most for free. And then the final point here is using imperative verbs. So that's directional, book a show round, view our summer wedding gallery, not our gallery is here. Make sure that I know what I'm going to do when I'm clicking on this button, and I know what I'm going to get as well. And then part 4 is about staying on top of trends. So I'm sure you've all heard about Brat Summer. Last year we had Barbie Core. Like, there's always trends that we can capitalize on, or not, depending on your brand. But Brat is now old hat. This came out in probably May, I think, and I only heard about it last month thanks to my Gen Z colleagues. So you can see I might not be the best person to present this webinar, but I've got some tips now of staying on top of it. And you don't have to buy into every single trend. It's really the ones that you think are going to resonate. We can have a look at that in a second, of how you can see that content. Sadly, I don't know who watches Emily in Paris, but it's not real life. Every single one of her posts go viral, and we know that that's not reality. As you can see, her face is looking concerned, like some of us when our reels flop. But there are ways to stay on top of trends. So these are just some tips that I've got for you of how you can stay on top of some of these kind of more viral trends or slightly smaller trends that might actually work really well for your brand. So follow Instagram content creation specialists, and there's a bunch of specialists out there that just talk about creating content, and you'll probably see their content because they know how to work the algorithm. And I would suggest following quite a few of these and seeing the tips that they're coming up with. They also have a bunch of tips around how to make your stories interesting without using Canva, that you can do it all on Instagram, which I think saves a little bit of time. Take a look at the explore page. This is when you click your search icon. This is all, you know, all the reels, it's usually reels that come up, and follow successful pages, follow pages that have reels that have blown up. You know, they've got 200,000 views, etc. If the more you follow these types of profiles, the more they'll get served to you. And so the more you'll be able to understand what works well. It's like a cycle. Monitor trending hashtags and audio. Again, on the next slide, I'll show you where to find that. But you will get served probably the same audio like 10 times a day, if not more. And the more you also engage with those posts, the more you'll be served those audios too. But you can definitely monitor which ones are performing well. Of course, track competitors and peers. Now, I know that we're all on this webinar together and we are a community, but it is great to see what other venues and other suppliers are doing. And there is no harm in pinching some ideas off of each other, especially when it's buying into a trend. You just have to put your own spin on it and really communicate your service and your personality through it. But it's good to come up with audio ideas sometimes, keeping a little eye on our peers. Follow Gen Z creators. So there's a lot of creators out there that are really great at garnering those views. Make sure that you're following them, even if they're not wedding industry specialists. It's just really important to see what's doing well on Instagram. And then stay alert for new Instagram features. I've already mentioned this, but it's really important to be an early adopter of some of these things. So have a look, choose some of the ones that you think would actually benefit getting your message out to your couples. So yeah, those are some of my tips on staying on top of trends. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the Instagram professional dashboard, and you can have a little explore of trending audios and reels. And it's actually quite a good way of keeping on top of what you could be doing. So it looks like this. So I'm going to go from left to right. So you've got two areas to look at. If you go to your profile, click on professional dashboard, and then go to inspiration, you'll see here that there are three areas that you can look at. So the first is reels, and it shows you reels that are similar to your content, and then reels that are popular with your followers. And that's quite a powerful thing to be able to see. And I really love this from Instagram. They're trying to help us. They're trying to get us using Instagram because it benefits them, but it also benefits us. So what's popular with your followers? You know, what kind of reels are they engaging with? And then similar to your content, other businesses that are posting similar content to yours, or independent creators that are posting similar content. So it's always good to have a look at the competition. The second area of this is audio. So you can click on audio and see the top kind of 5 things that are trending. What I will caveat this with is that business Instagrams have a smaller array of audios available to them. You may have noticed this when you go to create a reel and you try and choose an audio and you're not really recognizing a lot of the audios that are available. And it's because we're business accounts rather than individual accounts. I've read that you can get around this by putting yourself as an entrepreneur, and then it will give you more choice with audios. But another way I've found to get around this is if you actually see a reel and you click on use audio, it generally lets you use that audio. So instead of going through the reel and creating it from the reels part, you find an existing reel, you click on use audio, and then you go into creating your reel from that. And it generally lets you use that audio. So that's how you can get trending audios on your business account. And then the other way of seeing trending audio a little bit more in depth is the same area on your professional dashboard, and just go down to trending audio, and then it will give you a much longer list. So there's a little bit more varied choice there. So you can choose something that goes with your vibe. You'll see here how many reels are actually using it. So this one's using 1.5 million reels are using it. You can definitely kind of choose which is best for you. So what's the deal with reels? Instagram reels have become a powerful tool for wedding businesses due to their ability to capture attention quickly and engage users through short, visually appealing content. So this is why reels have taken off. You've obviously got TikTok, which is only reels. And I think that getting your Instagram reel strategy down on Instagram first is a great way of then dipping a toe into TikTok. If you know and understand how to create reels on Instagram, you can eventually go 100% on TikTok. But until you've got that frequency of posting, I'd recommend kind of putting all your energy and effort into Instagram. So I guess talking about what couples want is really important. They want inspiration. A lot of the kind of viral posts are things that are unusual, that are inspiring. Couples want to feel a positive emotion as well. You'll find that a lot of the reels are heartwarming. They're funny. Couples want to feel a positive emotion as well. You'll find that a lot of the reels are heartwarming. They're funny. It's something unusual and positive that couples want to feel from seeing these reels, and not just couples, just all humans. You know, you'll see that those reels are probably the most successful. And then couples want to relate to your content. So the more relatable the content, the better it usually performs. And we'll go on to some kind of examples of this kind of content so that you can get some examples of that. Luckily, our industry is visual and emotive. So we've kind of naturally got both of those things in our back pocket. So we're very lucky. If we are smart with capturing content, we create the content on a daily basis. You know, it's exhausting to create that content, to do the weddings, to take the photos, to arrange the flowers, to sing the songs. You know, it's tiring. But if you know, there's no harm in having somebody capture those for you, or, you know, film your work, do it yourself. It's free. And that's the amazing part. And we're really lucky that we are in a visual industry where we could really capitalize on Instagram. Instagram was made for us. So that's really positive. And these are examples of content that you can create. You don't have to do all of this. You might want to choose 3 main ones that suit your business the best, that you know you regularly are in contact with, or that you regularly do. So you can highlight real weddings. And even if you've just got photographs, instead of posting a static post, which you can do, post it as a reel. And I see a lot of photographers doing this, and it's, you know, it's beautiful. It really gives a multifaceted view on a wedding, especially when you zone in on the reception, or a you know, during the service versus after, where it's like very demure, very mindful during the service, and then crazy in the reception part. Fun things like that, where you actually have that content in front of you to capture. Behind the scenes content, so this could be a time lapse of you setting up so that couples know how much work goes into it. It's also really interesting and satisfying for a lot of people to see things get set up, the befores and the afters, etc. Seasonal content, as we've touched upon before. You can answer frequently asked questions. If you've got 5 minutes and one of your team has a beautiful backdrop, which is probably your venue, pop on and answer some frequently asked questions. If you have any styled shoots coming up, it's a great chance to get behind back scene footage, or get some of those images and turn them into reels. Event announcements, so if you've got events coming up, again, you can use footage from your previous events to promote your future ones. Head to House does this in a really beautiful way with their showcases. Client reels, this is so important, to ask your clients for anything they captured at their wedding, and making sure that they're obviously happy with you posting that on social. But you can get so much content from your clients if you build a great relationship with them. It's really important, and they can get that content for you. Client testimonials, again, you know, it could be that you film your happy couple when you're doing a follow-up call with them. Maybe you ask them for a testimonial then. Maybe they pop back for their first year wedding anniversary and you grab it then. You know, there's lots of ways that you can get client testimonials. And even if it's just a reel of static quotes, you know, you can utilize reels. It's just about thinking how you can make static content into more dynamic content easily. And then just a couple of trends for wedding businesses that are being used quite regularly. You will have seen them. You probably are using them as well. Not all trends will suit our industry, but here are some good ones that I think generally do suit the wedding industry quite well. So you've got point of view reels. They can be heartwarming. They can be funny. They can be from a dog's perspective. They can be from a groom's perspective. You know, it can be so versatile and so relatable. We've got a lovely heartwarming one here. And then when you reels, so when you choose your 83-year-old grandma to be your brand made at your wedding. There's lots of when you type scenarios that you can capitalize on. And then contrast reels are always the element of humor. So this one is your dogs during the rehearsal versus your dogs during the wedding ceremony. And in the first bit, they're very cutesy. And then in the second bit, they're going mad. So these are all, there's lots of when you type scenarios that you can capitalize on. And then contrast reels are always the element of humor. So this one is your dogs during the rehearsal, but ideas that you can try and use with the content that you've got to create these reels. And I know that we're all quite time poor, but even if you were just to do one of these once a month and monitor how it goes, I think that would be a really good use of time. Ideas that you can try and use with the content that you've got to create these reels. And I know that we're all quite time poor, but even if you were just to do one of these once a month and monitor how it goes, I think that would be a really good use of time. I'm just going to go through a couple of questions. There's a couple of people that can't find the professional dashboard. You have to have a business account to be able to find the professional dashboard. So if your account is a personal one, you need to go into settings and then change that to a business account. And in the follow-up email, I can send a few of these how-tos if you're not sure how to do that. If you're a slightly smaller business and have always just had a personal account. And then another person did ask why the audio seems to be limited. And as I explained, the business account doesn't allow you to use all the audios because quite a lot of them are copyrighted, and businesses are not allowed to use copyrighted audios. But as I've said, if you go into a reel and click on use audio, you generally can use the audio then rather than going through reels. So hopefully I've answered that question. Yes, great point from, I believe, a makeup artist. Live is great, but you can't share anything before the couple have had a chance to share it. This is a huge no, and makeup artists are the worst for this. So completely understand. Obviously, you don't want to upset the couple with sharing things before they do. So do be very mindful of how your couple feels about social media. Have that open conversation with them. Make it very obvious. Are you happy for me to do a live? If not, no worries. You know, have that conversation with them maybe when you're doing a rehearsal, that kind of thing, and they're relaxed. But you don't have to force it upon them, obviously, not suggesting that, but in some circumstances, lives may be useful if you're going through, for makeup artists, for example, you're going through the latest makeup that you're using and the products that you love, you know, something like that might be okay where it doesn't necessarily involve a live client. So shout outs and highlights of the industry. There's 87 new wedding businesses that have joined Bridebook in the last month. So thank you so much and welcome. As Hamish always says, it's the best industry in the world and we love it. We love all of you. So welcome to Bridebook and to the industry. Who has posted the most reviews over the last 30 days? So we've had 3 runners up, which is wild this month. 12 seems to be the magic number. So in the last month, Winchester Cathedral Venues, National Liberal Club, and Carbank Wedding Venue have all managed to upload 12 reviews. And then the winner is this great band, Missing Cat Trio, love the name, who have posted 18. So congratulations to you. And I hope you find your cat. Most real weddings added. So if you don't know, you can add real weddings to Bridebook. The runner-up is Capture House Weddings with 25. And then you were just pipped to the post by Healing Manor Hotel. Congratulations on adding 28 real weddings in the last month. That is incredible. So thank you and well done. You can stay up to date with these monthly wedding market updates. Next month, it's likely going to be Hamish again, but I've really enjoyed being this session and the August wedding market update for you all. If you want a follow-up session on Instagram or there's any questions that you have, please do email me. So if there's anything that you want to know or that you'd like us to focus on in a future one, if there's some topics that we haven't managed to cover in half an hour, then please let me know because I'm really keen to do another one for you. If Hamish lets me, no, I'm sure he will. And then if you have a second, which I'm sure you don't, probably got another couple that's about to have a show round or a consultation. But if you've enjoyed this update, please leave me a Trustpilot review. It would make my day to see if you enjoyed it. And even if you've got constructive feedback, of course, please leave that as well. Very, very, you know, willing to improve and make this as useful as possible for you all. And then, yes, if you'd like to give specific feedback, this will lead to a form where you can give some feedback on these wedding market updates in general so that we can take those into account for future. So thank you so much for joining. I've had a lot of fun. Thanks so much.